Welcome everyone to the Intel Network Builders webinar program. Thank you for taking the time to join us today for our presentation titled Flexibility Meets Security, Solving Modern Security Challenges in SD Branch. Before we get started, I want to point out some of the features of the BrightTalk tool that may improve your experience. There is a questions tab below your viewer. I encourage our live audience to please ask questions at any time. Our presenters will hold answering them until the end of the presentation. Below your viewing screen, you will also find an Attachments tab with additional documentation and reference materials, including a number of websites and documents mentioned in this presentation. Finally, at the end of the presentation, please take the time to provide feedback using the Rating tab. We value your thoughts and will use the information to improve our future webinars. Intel Network Builders webinar series takes place live every other week, so check the channel to see what is upcoming and access our growing library of recorded content. In addition to the resources you see here, we also offer a comprehensive NFV and SDN training program through Intel Network Builders University. Today, we are pleased to welcome Manisha Gupta, Director of Product Management at Palo Alto Networks, and Jim Wilson, VP of Sales and Customer Success at ZPE Systems. Welcome, Manisha and Jim, and thank you for taking the time to join us today.
Well, Deanna, thank you very much, and thank you for Intel for sponsoring this webinar. So let's jump in. So as people move to the SD branch, there is a problem. They need to overcome the complexity of their legacy network. Legacy branch networking has multiple devices, OSs, which increases the complexity. This leads to more cost, rigidity, and it opens the door to higher risks and potential security issues. If you look at today's standard branch, you have multiple dedicated appliances. This large stack can be cumbersome and expensive. Today, we're going to be talking about how to simplify that as well as increase the security. Security is very important. And one of the keys today is to talk with Manisha about Palo Alto and how the VM series is one of the best at protecting in terms of firewall. Manisha?
Thank you, Jim. So, as you know, security is one of the topmost concerns for any business out there, big or small, and it's for a very good reason. It stems from the ever-increasing complexity of an organization, as well as the increasing cost of a breach to any business. The threat surface of the infrastructure is also quickly expanding with the apps moving to the cloud, more and more users who are working remotely, as we've seen a lot in COVID, and also more IoT devices proliferating on the network. The attacks themselves are becoming highly sophisticated, as we all know, right? And they're also becoming more and more automated. They can morph easily, and they can rapidly bypass traditional security protections. Data breaches are very costly for businesses, and they also have a risk of exposing sensitive user information. Now, this session is about branch. So let me just narrow down the scope of security threats in the context of the branch itself. So when we think of a branch, there are several assets within the branch that we need to protect. Some of these assets are directly managed by IT, others are not. And most branches today, they allow guests who have an unknown security posture. We don't really know who is coming in or going out of the branch anymore, right? Employees and these guests, they may carry devices that IT has no idea about. They're not fully secure, they're not fully patched. And one infected device on the network can quickly spread the malware to everybody else in its reach. So these organizations are now leveraging their network infrastructure for both IT and OT as well. For example, many businesses are deploying smart lighting solutions to maintain and meet regulations around carbon footprint reduction. They're deploying smart sensors, smart surveillance for security and for increasing business productivity. So all of these endpoints are typically outside the scope of IT teams, even though they share the same network infrastructure. And they have vulnerabilities due to lack of physical and software hardening. They lack capabilities like encryption, and all of this kind of puts them at the risk of eavesdropping and exploits. The branches today also need to be able to connect to the internet directly, as organizations are adopting more and more SaaS-based applications for email, for file servers, and whatnot, right? And this introduces a lot of risks due to malware that is it originated in the web and embedded in encrypted web traffic. So the security perimeter is really extending beyond the data center and beyond the branch. And there is a risk of data leakage leading to compliance policy violations that can cost a lot to any business out there. So let's hear more about how ZPE and Palo Alto networks, they come together to solve these problems for an SD branch related to infrastructure complexity and security risks for these branch deployments. Jim?
Okay. Manisha, thank you. So when we talking about consolidating a branch solution, Gartner calls it edgification. So consolidating the edge with ZPE allows multiple NFVs in a single appliance. They're all managed from a single platform and from ZPE. This decreases the cost, improves zero-day implementation through automated zero-touch provisioning, and it provides operational efficiency by decreasing the stack. In partnering with Palo Alto, we provide not only north-south, but also east-west protection. When there's Wi-Fi everywhere, you've got to control everything that's out there, whether it be guest Wi-Fi, an IoT camera, it's got to be protected. So ZPE systems, the SR family, we can shrink your stack for hardware no matter the size of your edge or branch deployment. Starting at our smallest, the Link, it provides access and cellular failover through Prisma Access for very small or mobile sites. The Nodegrid Bold works well in small locations where you need Ethernet, out-of-band, cellular failover, and NFV protection like Palo Alto, a VM100. The Gate SR provides hosting for multiple NFVs, for SD-WAN, for virtual firewalls, as well as it has a wide environmental specification and up to 2 cellular connections for high throughput. Finally, the NSR is an office in a box. Basically, it's a 1U form factor, and it provides multiple networking, compute, and storage solutions with the ease of zero-touch provisioning in remote locations, and all of the security from Palo Alto and our Zero Trust Cloud. The ZPE SR series provides a wide range of solutions for your edge locations. Nodegrid Manager, the software that manages everything, provides a 360-degree view of managing your deployment. We provide edge networking, guest OSs like Palo Alto, and out-of-band management. These systems can be managed through a single platform, the Nodegrid OS and the ZPE Cloud. Intel is what powers all of our devices. And the NSR, powered by Intel, allows you a configured and converged network infrastructure platform for all your virtualized NFVs. From automation tools to firewalls, we allow you to future-proof your edge with a modular solution. We provide a wide range of modular cards from serial connectivity, PoE to run access points, networking, storage, and additional compute to create a converged network infrastructure. The service router allows VNFs like firewalls from Palo Alto, SD-WAN solutions, and custom applications. This is all protected by our hardened branch software with BIOS and Grub password protection. TPM integration with our cloud allows you the ability to geofence a system and send it out pre-configured. We always focus on security. Since we can ship non-configured devices and push the configuration from the ZPE cloud, we allow you to not create a backdoor into your network if a device is stolen or lost in shipping. Your network needs an SD branch solution. You need to edgify it. This allows you to simplify and streamline your deployment, cut CapEx and OpEx, and boost security at the edge. Partnering with ZPE and Palo Alto provides you with a fast, flexible, and secure solution. The Palo Alto VM provides great security. Manisha, can you tell us why you guys are number one in the market today?
Of course. So when we talk about branch security, our approach to security is to be proactive and to prevent threats and to prevent breaches proactively versus taking a reactive approach. So Palo Alto Networks, we offer a comprehensive security for branch deployments to address threats originating within the branch as well as originating outside the branch. So let's begin with what happens within the branch. So within the branch, we can discover unmanaged devices, we can detect behavioral anomalies, we can recommend policies based on risk, and we can automate the enforcement of those policies. The context-aware multi-layer segmentation allows you not just to do a static segmentation, which is based on IP addresses or VLANs, but it carries the context of the user and the device and the network with it, and it allows you to segment the network so you can secure your mission-critical infrastructure and applications to achieve full compliance. We support full traffic inspection up to layer 7 with high firewall throughputs for all kinds of traffic within the branch and can be enabled to ensure that all your traffic is clean. Now, many enterprises, they require SSL traffic decryption and inspection of that traffic in and out of these secure zones. For example, if you are a retail branch and you have a requirement for localized PCI zones, you require that all traffic going in and out of that zone, it should be inspected for you to be compliant. So SSL proxy, URL filtering, DNS security, we protect your network against all web-based threats and DNS-based attacks with our single solution. We also have the DLP solution. It's something that is very new and very advanced in its class of solutions that allows you to comprehensively protect your sensitive data across all networks to remain compliant without the need to add any new infrastructure. Other capabilities like advanced sandboxing, real-time signature streaming capabilities, support for different kinds of IPS signatures like SNORT and Suricata, we are able to protect your branch against previously unknown threats in seconds after the threat is first discovered or after the branch is just newly deployed. And the best part is you can manage this entire security stack and the entire security posture of all your users, devices, networks, and applications through our single centralized management platform, which is the Panorama. So the same firewall can be deployed in the branch, the data center, or the cloud. So we are talking about branch in this context, but most businesses, most enterprises, they have other deployments beyond the branch. You may have applications running in the cloud. You may have applications running in data centers. You may have a larger headquarters. So we have the ability to host the same firewall across these different locations so you can have consistent security policies across your networks. So as your users, for example, they move between different locations and they carry their devices, you carry the same context with you and you can apply the same security policies because now we are doing context-aware policies and not VLAN-based or IP-based policies. The firewall itself, it acts as a sensor and it acts as an enforcement point in your network. And it is your way to consume our cloud-delivered cybersecurity services directly through the cloud. So the different security services that we have are threat prevention, URL filtering, Wildfire for sandboxing and malware detection, DNS service for DNS-based security, IoT security, DLP, and much more. We also have a full SD-WAN stack on our virtual firewall platforms. And we continue to add more services with industry-leading capabilities and to integrate point product solutions into a common platform for foolproof security with a single pane of management. So threat prevention, URL filtering for proxy, global protect for access control, IoT DLPs. So you can now replace multiple point products in your network, and you can get comprehensive security with full visibility, complete coverage across all your assets, and operational simplicity with our single pane of management. With the world's first ML-powered next-generation firewall, our security approach enables organizations to stay 2 steps ahead of new emerging threats, see and secure the entire enterprise, and help security teams move faster with fewer manual errors. Palo Alto Networks VM series also offers flexibility for both on-prem and cloud deployments. We support most hypervisors, all major cloud providers. The firewall and subscription services can be consumed through our term-based licenses, as well as pay-as-you-go for our cloud deployments. It integrates with automation and orchestration platforms like Terraform and Ansible, or any other platform that you might be using out there for deploying the firewall as part of your app development process. And it also comes with a fully documented XML APIs for creating flexible policies. The Panorama platform, it's a unified management platform. It simplifies security policy and management across your entire infrastructure, be it the branch, campus, DC, cloud, and you can have consistent policy model for a strong security posture across your entire network. Palo Alto Networks has been recognized as a market leader in firewalls by all leading analysts. We have been Gartner MQ leader for 9 years in a row for our ability to continually innovate while maintaining our established level of quality that our customers really rely on. So this is what really makes us unique to provide the best comprehensive security for your branch solution, for your branch network. And with ZPE, we have significantly simplified how you bring up your branch on day 0, how you provision the firewall before it can be managed and configured, and before you can start configuring your security policies through Panorama. So now let's see how ZPE and Palo Alto Network Firewall can be quickly provisioned in your branch. Jim?
Great, Manisha. Thank you very much. I think it's really key that when we talk about we're decreasing the stack, decreasing the number of things that we have to manage. So with the ZPE Cloud, our zero-trust security, we provide a fast, simple, and hardened secure way to deploy at the edge. The ZPE SR platform combined with the ZPE Cloud allows for a secure deployment without shipping configured devices. Systems are shipped unconfigured. They report to the cloud. And with TPM 2.0, you don't have to worry about certificates. You don't have to worry about, is this the right device going to my cloud at this time? Once it's determined that it's in the correct location, you can push your configuration. Disks are all encrypted, and the systems are protected via geofence. You can provision and upgrade all from the ZPE Cloud, even if the network is down through cellular failover. Partnering with Palo Alto secures both our north and south and east and west traffic, so at the edge, you're completely connected. So with that, what I'd like to do is give you a quick demo on how we would deploy through the ZPE Cloud.
In this short video, we're going to show you how you can deploy a Palo Alto firewall using the ZPE solutions. What you will see here is the ZPE Cloud. We will use the ZPE Cloud to orchestrate the automatic deployment of the Palo Alto firewall to a Nodegrid service router. What you can currently see here is the dashboard of the ZPE Cloud. We have in this instance 2 devices deployed, and we're going to deploy the Palo Alto firewall to our US NSR. We do this by selecting the device and applying the deployment script. I'm selecting this now and assign it to the device. Now that script is applied, the unit will now automatically download the script, the deployment script, and start initializing the installation of the Palo Alto firewall. The deployment process will take a little bit, but let's switch over to the appliance and see if the deployment is already done. As we can see here, the device is now deployed. This device represents the Palo Alto firewall, and the session options here at the side give us access to the Palo Alto instance in itself. The console access, which we're going to start right now, will give us full console access to the device, and we can use that to see how the current deployment process is going and interact with the virtual machine. Now that the unit is deployed, we can log into the system through the console, or we can use a web interface. As you can see, the web interface is now available. I can now complete the configuration through the web interface, or I can use Palo Alto's cloud services like Prisma or any other tools to complete the configuration of the firewall.
Great. So one of the keys in looking at this is we're able to ship non-configured devices, push the configuration for both Palo Alto and other virtual machines. So if you're moving to an SD branch, our solution provides you with efficiency. Zero-touch provisioning, centralized management, modern out-of-band connectivity, cellular failover, and the best firewall in the industry with Palo Alto. We can run multiple NFVs, so we give you the capability of decreasing your overall stack while increasing your capabilities. So I'm going to walk you through a couple different customer examples. So we have a multinational oil and gas company that has locations in some of the most remote places in the world. Their current stack required 6 different appliances. For them to manage that became very difficult. They had a hardware firewall, router, switch. What they were looking to do was decrease the overall stack and increase their ability to manage it, as well as providing additional ways to connect. So what we were able to do by working with ZPE Systems in Palo Alto, they were able to shrink the stack, deploying a Palo Alto firewall and an SD-WAN solution on a single appliance. They decreased the space. They provided a geofence for additional security out in these remote locations, and they saved on CapEx and OpEx. By consolidating, they increased their ability to manage it, especially in these very remote locations. Some of these locations take 2 days to get to, so they needed to make sure that they had multiple connections. So whether it was failover to cellular or failover to VSAT, they always needed connectivity, and they were able to manage it through ZPE Cloud, whether it was in the middle of the Gulf or just down the street. The second one is a digital security leader. They focus on public key infrastructure. So at the old solution, they had a bunch of different devices for out-of-band access, cellular failover, firewall. They were trying to consolidate, decrease the complexity, because we all know the ability to have IT people in each branch is no longer capable. So they wanted to also increase their uptime by providing a full cellular failover solution. So by partnering with ZPE Systems and Palo Alto Networks, they were able to run the VM series directly on their out-of-band network, provide cellular failover, as well as VPN connections. This provided them remote access for rapid resolution, centralized configuration. They had fewer points of failure and a simpler way to manage. So if you take a look, the before and after, they've decreased the number of appliances that they had to manage. And by decreasing the complexity, they increase their uptime. So Palo Alto allows us, protected them, whether it was in the data center or at the branch. And by being able to combine multiple VNFs, provide 4G cellular failover, they were able to always guarantee uptime within their remote locations. That concludes so for more information, we have these different places to download from ZPE Systems and also from Palo Alto. And we also have some additional questions, I believe, out there. So.
Thanks, Jim and Manisha. We do have a few questions from the audience. Our first question is, how can I optimize my underlying infrastructure with Palo Alto Network's virtual firewalls to support different branch sizes?
Sure, I can take that, and that's a great question. So for VM series firewalls, we have several models, and these can be leveraged to optimize for different sized networks or different sizes of branches. So there are the different models that we have are the VM50, VM100, VM300, VM500, and VM700. And you can achieve an app ID enabled firewall performance of starting from 200 Mbps with a VM50, and you can go all the way up to 16 gigabits per second with the VM700. So based on the size of the network and based on the scale capacity and thread performance that you're looking for the location, you can optimize your underlying infrastructure with the right VM series model. Now, this is just a quick insight based on what we've seen. The VM300 is typically more suitable for a mid-sized branch. And in the PAN-OS version 10.0, it requires 4 virtual CPUs with 9 gigabit of memory. And it can give you up to 10,000 security rules, 40 security zones, and up to 2,000 VPN tunnels. So these numbers are based on our internal qualification, and of course based on the different security profiles that you deploy. These might change, but this is just to kind of give you an idea on what we can do with a system running on 4 virtual CPUs, 9 gig of memory. And then for very, very small branches, like what we call as the micro branches, you can also deploy our VM50, which is the lowest end model within our portfolio. It runs on a 2 virtual CPU device, requires about 5.5 gig of memory, and it provides 250 rules, 15 security zones, up to 250 IPsec tunnels. So based on the size of your branch, you can consider the right VM series firewall model. So that is number one. The second point is the VM series products are optimized to take advantage of any acceleration capabilities that your underlying infrastructure can support, like SRIOV, DPDK. We are optimized for Intel-based platforms like ZPE. And if your platform supports any of these optimizations or IO acceleration mechanisms, you can certainly take advantage of those to achieve higher throughput, higher performance from our firewall. So hopefully that answers the question. And we have a lot more detail available in the resources that we have shared as part of this presentation, as well as on our website, www.paloaltonetworks.com.
Yeah, and from the ZPE side, we have multiple different sizes of hardware platforms. So depending upon whether you need to run a VM50 or a VM300, we have that capability. In addition, we also have the capability, depending upon how many network connections, whether you need access points, to provide both PoE as well as standard Ethernet.
Thanks, Manisha and Jim. And I'd just like to remind our audience that all of these resources you see on the screen are also available in the attachments section. Our next question is for Jim. It is, can other NFVs as well as homegrown Docker apps work on the ZPE platform?
Yes. So one of the keys is our ability to service chain multiple applications. That's how we can work with an SD branch solution in conjunction with the Palo Alto firewall. So whether it's something like a Docker application or a provisioning application, a firewall, an IoT application like SAP, we have the capability of running all of those on our platform, all in conjunction. So we can have multiple NFVs, multiple Docker applications, all running together and all service chain together.
Okay, and it looks like we have one more question, which is, can you explain in detail how we can achieve PCI compliance with Palo Alto Network's VM firewall?
Sure. Again, excellent question, and this is something that we get asked on very frequently because retail being one of the typical use cases of branches, PCI compliance is usually top of mind for most businesses. So when we look at PCI compliance, right, the requirements for being PCI DSS compliant, it's like 300 plus requirements. But if we just like try to summarize it, we can summarize it into 10, 12 broad categories. So if I just talk about a few of those, right, that are really relevant to a security solution, it's about protecting the data of your card holders within the corporate network. So how do you make sure the data is protected? Then protection of that data when you are storing it, as well as when that data is being transmitted, especially across different networks. Like if you're sending the data from your corporate network to your data center over the internet, how do you make sure it's fully encrypted and it's fully secure? The another aspect of PCI compliance is access control for highly sensitive data, cardholder data, and ensuring very strong password policies to access this system. We also need to protect payment systems against malware, and this requires them to always be updated with the latest, greatest version of antivirus updates. Systems need to be patched, need to be secure from a software OS perspective. And also the ability to proactively identify, remove any vulnerabilities proactively, and really have the ability to track all events and audit as needed. So based on the different levels of PCI compliance, the auditing can be done at different intervals, most frequently in level 1 and then decreasing from there. So these are very high level requirements of PCI compliance that we typically talk about, and of course all of these can be expanded to a lot of detailed requirements. Now, how do you achieve this with our VM series platform? So you can achieve all of this by deploying the VM series platform in your branch and enabling subscription services like threat protection, IoT security, DLP, and a few others that we discussed in this session. So let's start with segmentation, right? So with the right segmentation, access control, and user device and application security policies, PCI compliance can be achieved with one single product, which is the VM series firewall. You can create a secure PCI zone. You can restrict access to that zone, and you can also restrict traffic flows, what gets into that zone, what goes out of that zone within the branch itself. And then you can enable full traffic inspection all the way up to layer 7 for all traffic traversing in and out of that security zone. This is the basic requirement for a secure zone, for a PCI zone within your branch, right? Then the next is about securing those payment systems and the devices. So with the IoT security solution, you can quickly discover all those devices, and you can have full visibility into what's on the network, what's connecting, and what function are they performing. You can create more effective security policies on the firewall with the added IoT context, right? So we talked about segmentation in the session. Segmentation is not just about IP address-based segmentation or subnet or VLAN-based segmentation. It is also about having full context of the device and the users. So in this case, the IoT context for those devices is relevant in terms of setting the right policies and setting the right security posture for those devices. You can adopt secure password policies using our solution. You can manage firmware updates and patching of these devices, and you can actively monitor all of these endpoints. So this really, secures those devices that come with from different vendors. They come with different kinds of software. They come with different capabilities. So all of that can be managed and tracked through our IoT security system. Then in terms of the data loss or the privacy of the card holder data, and the leakage of that potential leakage of that data from your network, our DLP solution scans for sensitive information in all traffic that is going in and out of your network, and it can block intentional or unintentional data exposure, and can help you adhere to the compliance and data privacy regulations for PCI. So Palo Alto Networks Firewall, when you deploy it in your branch and you complement it with these various security subscriptions, it allows you to achieve compliance. And all of this, like we said, it can be managed, configured. Policies can be configured through a single pane of glass, which is the panorama, and enforcement point is your firewall within your network. So we also have a detailed case study with a reference security design for PCI compliance that's available on our website, which can give you a full insight into how we recommend designing a branch network for achieving PCI DSS compliant in your deployment. So please do visit our website and learn more about this, and reach out to us for further questions.
And to make sure that everything is protected and secure, ZPE also provides encrypted disks, dual-factor authentication, and adheres to all the VM firewall capabilities.
All right, thank you, Manisha and Jim. That is the last of our questions. So I'd like to thank all of our viewers again for joining us today. Please don't forget to give our team a rating for the live recording. I hope you'll join us next time on January 19th for a webinar titled Where is UCPE Going in 2021? With presenters from Intel, Nexcom, and ENEA. Thank you, Manisha and Jim, and thank you to our audience again for joining us today. This concludes our webcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.